Florida, in Belgium, and in Mexico. And I was visited by the former head of Armed Intelligence and a whole bunch of other spooks who basically said to me, what in the hell are you doing? And I mean, quite frankly, that's what they said. And I said, look, we really have, in a sense, discovered the Rosetta Stone of inter-species communication. And we don't have time in this show to go into that. But the fact is that it can be done, and it needs to be done because we cannot cede the high ground of contacting our culture and these other civilizations to a purely militarized effort. And I was very clear of that. This was in 1992, April of 92, and I met with these gentlemen. They were trying to persuade me to cease and desist from doing this.
Really? Any in a forceful manner?
Well, it's always very subtle, but yeah, it was threatening. I was taken to a hotel room till 3 in the morning, and whatever it was, very late. And there were 64 questions, and basically one of them said, what the hell are you doing? And I said, look, I'm a citizen of the earth who's aware that we're not alone. And I think that it's time that there are people who are reasonably aware and enlightened and reasonably peaceful in their orientation to the future to step up to the plate and try to make some sense of this, rather than a purely paranoid and military approach.
And it ended amicably?
It ended amicably. Subsequently, about a month later, I was at another retreat up in the Rockies, and this group tried to entice me into joining this. I was offered a board seat on the covert group that deals with this. I was offered enormous sums of money, enormous access to technology. I said, no, thank you. They then went to my wife, God bless her, and tried to convince her to convince me. She thought they were charming. I said they were rogues. And I said, no, thank you. And that's where we left it. And then within about 30 days of me saying, absolutely not, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to stay an independent free agent for the truth. Every kind of defamation of my character, up to and including claims that I wasn't actually a medical doctor, appeared on the internet. So you can only imagine the kind of nightmare my life has been since 1992. But,
and now threats, and now telephone threats.
Right, but you know what? We're going to just keep on keeping on, because I think the people need to know the truth. I believe in a good future for humanity, no matter how difficult the current birth pangs of our transition may be. And if we all pull together, we'll be able to see the future of our dreams.
Well, it's certainly true that your best place is right here, right in the middle of the public eye. It's your safest place. And I guess you would make that case, wouldn't you, to military men who are starting to get a little older and would like to talk?
Yes. Let me tell you something that was said to me. One of the ways I've been very wise is that I know what I don't know. I never killed anyone in the emergency department because I knew what I didn't know. And let me tell you, what I didn't know about this stuff in 1990 when I stepped out was a lot. And so when I had guys who were good men who came to me who had experience in national security, military, and these things, I listened. And one of the guys who came forward was a national security lawyer. He said, if you want to live to see tomorrow, if you don't walk, if you run, and you get millions of people to hear what you're doing and you keep them informed in real time, they will erase you. And he told me this, and I looked at him like he was a nut. And it turned out the man knew what he was talking about. But I listened to his advice, and I said, you know what? The vanguard, our shield in getting the truth out, is the public. It's not all these big shots. It's not all these high officials. And I've met with them all. It's you, the people. You, the people, are the people who can make this happen and can also watch our back. And that's why we're out here talking.
So the best thing, other than those witnesses that you obviously want to talk to, the best thing for the general public to do in trying to support you, and a lot of them want to support you in your effort, is to what? Just be in touch.
Write the members of Congress and the President saying they want a disclosure. Help us find these technologies that are hidden in people's garages that have been suppressed. Help us find more witnesses like this wonderful man who called in tonight. Maybe pray for us. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but, I would like to see sort of keep us in light and pray for our guidance. And we want to do this because I think the time has come for the truth to be known. And I appreciate anything that people can do.
All of this, do you take precautions for your, I mean, it's not just you, it's your wife, it's staff members, do you take some precautions?
Yes, we take very good precautions, and it happens on many levels. And one of the levels is that there are substantial groups in this covert who very much support what we're doing, and they have warranted to me our safety and the safety of all of my witnesses. The truth of the matter is that I'm still breathing the free air of Earth. Sure. None of these military witnesses, even the ones with top secret FBI clearances up into the 90s, have never even received a phone call threatening them. And I think that when I say to people is that don't be intimidated by the threat. Look at the good future and do the right thing. And the only thing I ever ask myself is to kind of look in the mirror and say, am I doing the right thing? And the answer is yes, I'll do it. And so I really don't care otherwise whether or not someone wants to threaten me. And I will tell you that I have a military advisor that's been with me since the early 90s, who when it came up at a meeting once about the security of me and my family, he stopped the discussion and said, this is something you not need to worry about. This man has the gravity to deliver. So that's where we are.
Okay, and on the other side of the coin, you must be very gratified that with tonight, ABC apparently has decided to do a very serious effort, they tell me, they promise me, 2 to 3 hours long. I mean, this is kind of what you've been waiting for, so there must be some gratification in this for you, isn't it?
Oh, yes, of course. And in meeting with the producers, I think that, there's a sincere attempt. And I really think Peter Jennings is the kind of man who's independent thinking enough that if he's presented with the facts, he will present them to the public. And I hope he stays in that state of integrity throughout the process, because I know that there will be pressures for him to get off the path and to do a sort of fun, ridiculing piece about it.
Oh, but I don't expect that.
And I don't expect it, and I think that it's a very good, and believe me, for a journal like the World Affairs Journal, which is, as I mentioned, read by virtually every head of state and foreign minister in the world, to personally invite me to do a special 5,000-word article on this issue is unprecedented.
Well, as you know, Peter Jennings is Canadian. I read a story in the first hour of the program tonight entitled Canadian Skies Abuzz with UFOs en route to a record year. More sightings of UFOs in Canada this year than in recorded history. That's something.
Well, I just had a senior minister with the Canadian government contact me. I won't say who it is, but it's we're talking a major player in a G7, G8 country who is extremely interested in this subject, particularly as to the environment and the energy and propulsion systems that we're working on. And so I would say that there's some very good movement north of the border. There's some very good movement within Congress, by the way, with people we've met with. And so what we have to say is that, look, it's an uphill battle. There's a Goliath out there. Maybe we're David. I don't know. But we're going to try. The fact of the matter is, this is the deck we've been dealt, and we got to deal with it the best we can.
The U.S. seems so far behind some other countries, notably one to the north of us, Canada, Mexico to the south of us, much more involved publicly and from a government point of view than the United States. It just seems so unlikely unless we know something they don't.
Well, the fact is that we are the superpower that is straddling the earth, and we do have the technologies developed very fully. While there may be other countries who have significant space files, such as in France and Spain and other places, the fact of the matter is we have had an intensive project that is over 50 years old, dealing with the technology behind these systems. And because we're sitting on those secrets, that's where the disinformation is greatest, the control is greatest, and the risk is greatest. And for that reason, it's most dysfunctional. And I think that this is a serious problem that needs resolution. I will say something here rather counterintuitive. There are people within the covert group running the secrecy who desperately want to get a solution to it. They have painted themselves into a corner and don't know how to get out of it. Now, they're still a small minority. But at one time, I was told when I met with the Clinton first CIA director, Tim Woolsey, I was told about a third of this policy group is in favor of bringing this out, and told now it's 40 to 50%. growing number of people who want to have this disclosed. And whether or not time is on our side remains to be seen. But certainly the truth is on our side, and ultimately the truth will be out there.
Is there any indication out there that there have been communications between the U.S. and other countries on this topic? We're almost out of time, Dan.
Yes, I know, what a shame. But look, yes, certainly within these classified programs, they are transnational. When I say transnational, there are no national boundaries when you're dealing with the corporate, financial, and intelligence world on this level of secrecy. It absolutely just cuts through anything you would consider a national border. And in a way, it's a rather frightening image. And one of the fascinating things about that, I'll go back to this Manchurian Candidate. Believe me, I have no connection to the film at all. But it was interesting how they portrayed this enormous corporation as being this large global corporation with para-governmental and military involvement, as well as financial involvement.
That's it,
That's
Doctor.
what you're dealing with. I mean, that's what you're dealing with. So yeah, it's always been transnational.
Buddy, we're out of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good night. See you on ABC.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's it, folks. Sorry, we're out of time. And here's Crystal with always just the right words to get us out of here from the high desert night hall.
At night in the desert, shooting stars across the sky. This magical journey will take us on a ride, filled with the longing, searching for the truth. Will we make it till tomorrow? Will the stars shine on you?
From the high desert and the great American Southwest. Bid you all good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is, wherever you may be in the known universe, all 25 time zones. I'm Art Bell. This program, Coast to Coast AM, covers every one of them like a blanket. Top of the morning to you. We're going to be doing open lines very early this hour. I think. I don't know. We've got ABC here, you know. That's something a little different for us. I'll tell you all about it. Actually, there's a picture up on the on my webcam right now. If you want to go take a look, I took a picture as the gentlemen were setting up to do all of this a little earlier. At any rate, open lines very quickly, and I'm going to be looking for people who have had sightings. Actually, why don't we refine it a little bit and make these close encounters of at least the third kind? You know the sighting I had, the large triangle that I saw and just finished sort of telling ABC all about. Well, I know many of you have had similar sightings, and I'm certainly going to be looking for those of you who would like to sort of take us through it very quickly. Around the world right now, Mohammed Chalabi, who was a friend of the U.S., now, my goodness, we want to arrest him for forgery and stuff, and then his, what is it, his nephew, is it, or something? Well, they want him for murder. So how quickly we fall. I mean, at one moment, we're giving the U.S. information. In fact, we're going to be the new Iraqi prime minister, right? And then the next moment, it didn't work out so well, and you're under arrest. Huh. Protected by about 100 guards, Iraq's interim prime minister visited the war-shattered city of Najaf on Sunday, calling on Shiite militants to lay down their weapons. Pretty unlikely, I'd say. Pretty unlikely. Alan Keyes, the conservative Maryland political commentator, the Illinois Republicans turned to after weeks of searching for a replacement for a Senate candidate, agreed to run against a rising star for the Democrats, and the one who gave such a strong speech. That's going to be some battle. That's really going to be a battle. You know how we've discussed, I hope you know how we've discussed the possibility that our planet, in fact, it was report one, the New York Times or something, that our planet's magnetic field is beginning to erode to some degree. Well, we've got a couple of stories here that you might be interested in. This one's titled, When Homing Pigeons Don't Come Home. We recently speculated that 1,500 in Sweden that, well, you didn't know this, did you, never returned home, may have been confused by the changing magnetic poles. Ta-da! Some people think they got lost due to electronic signals, maybe from cell phone towers or something, but I don't think so. Pigeons have never become confused by cell phones previously, but now they are. The Swedish homing pigeons aren't the only ones missing either. About 1,600 pigeons just vanished out of 1,800 competing in a 200-mile race. I mean, gone. Now, this is the kind of thing that you become concerned with when the Earth's magnetic field may be shifting a little bit. Or here's an interesting headline for you. Storms kill 10,000 fish in the Thames. London last night was mopping up the floodwater and totaling up damage caused by Tuesday's freak storms. I told you to watch for storms in Europe. Here they are. This one left more than 10,000 dead fish floating down the river and brought chaos to the capital's transport system. The fish died, it seems, after 600,000 tons of raw sewage outflowed into the river as a result of the thunderstorms, the violent thunderstorms that I told you they'd be having. They're having them. Oxygen levels in the Thames reduced to virtually nil along a stretch from Bedford, with dead bream and roach piled on the banks, floating belly up in the water. So there you are. That's more of the way our world is changing. Or how about a little closer to home for you, Houston Reuters? A huge, huge dead zone of water. Water so devoid of oxygen that sea life can't even live has spread now across 5,800 square miles of the Gulf of Mexico this summer in what's become an annual occurrence now, caused, they say again, by pollution. A scientist at the Louisiana University's Marine Consortium said Tuesday the measurements showed the dead zone extended from the mouth of the Mississippi River, southeastern Louisiana, 250 miles west to near the Texas border, and was closed to shore. So these stories, they just go on and on and on. In fact, animals are disappearing from our planet right now at such an incredible rate, folks, an alarming rate, that guess what's born? A tissue bank that's going to store genetic material from thousands of endangered animals. They've set it up. It's called the Frozen Ark. That's an appropriate name, the Frozen Ark, as it's called, will preserve animal life codes even after their species becomes extinct. This is going to allow future generations of scientists to understand long-lost creatures, and may also help with conservation programs of tomorrow. But basically, they're going to take entire insects, small tissue samples from animals, so that life is not endangered. Tissues may then be frozen for safekeeping. DNA extracted from the tissue samples, either straight after it was obtained or after freezing, for example, will then be used to bring them back. You know, like the dinos walk again, that kind of thing. Now, with ABC here tonight, you know, we're covering UFOs. Here's a good headline for you. This is from Canada, by the way. It seems the Canadians have a sky absolutely abuzz with UFOs. As a matter of fact, there have been more sightings in Canada in the last year than in many, many years. They're well on their way to a record, from a translucent saucer-shaped object in British Columbia to mysterious lights buzzing motorists in New Brunswick. Canadians are well on their way to reporting a record high number of UFO sightings this year. More than 400 stories of curious encounters were filed through the end of July, compared with just over 300 this time last year, says Ufology Research of Manitoba, a group that tracks reports of unidentified flying objects. At this rate, the total for 2004 is going to surpass the current record of 673 sightings reported last year. So the Canadians are seeing whatever it is that's flying in our skies in record numbers. Record numbers. By the way, Tonight, we've got the well-known ufologist leading the charge in America, maybe the world, I guess. For disclosure, Dr. Stephen Greer here. And you know how many times in the past I have warned Dr. Greer that what he's doing is potentially dangerous. It is. Well, Dr. Greer has been threatened, ladies and gentlemen, and he sent along a tape, which I've converted to CD of that threat. I'm going to play it for you, and of course we'll play it while he's on, but it's a pretty ominous threat. That and your calls and your songs, I would hope, in a moment. Stay right there. Hey! All right, let's rock. First time caller line, you are on the air. Good evening.
Hello, hi.
Hi there. What is your first name and where are you calling from?
My name is Aaron, and I'm calling from the Big Island in Hawaii.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How's the weather in Hawaii?
It's been a little bit rainy, but it's nice.
All right, so what's up, brother?
Well, I'm giving you a call because I'm kind of associated with some peers that are at the observatory, and I've heard some rumors about the Hubble being down because there might have been some sort of a flyby, and I know that you guys are going to be talking about...
Wait, slow down. Let's get this straight. The Hubble being down as in deorbited, you mean?
Well, no, as it being they're quote unquote having instrument failure, but from what I understand, there were images like a huge, very close type of imagery that they can't really understand.
Something the Hubble caught, you mean?
That's correct.
Oh, really?
That's what I've heard.
And then all of a sudden they got instrument trouble, eh?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
If you
might I ask, please, where you got this?
I would like to keep that quiet because I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the gentlemen that actually is at the observatory on a regular basis.
Would you? Oh, so you would classify this source as, I don't know, good word is unimpeachable?
Correct.
You would.
And if you can ask and see if Mr. Davenport or if any of the other callers have heard the same thing.
You can bet we'll look into this.
Thank you, sir.
But again, just to be clear, you got this from somebody working actually in the Hubble program, is that correct?
Well, working at the observatory in Hawaii that is somehow connected, yeah.
All right. I appreciate the call from the islands. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Wild card line, you're on the air. Hi.
Good evening, Art. This is Blair in Sedona, Arizona.
Hi, Blair.
I wanted to talk about Dr. Greer's 2001 disclosure video. A couple of testimonials given by a former staffer of the Eisenhower White House and a former Air Force E9 fellow on NRO. His name was, Danny.
All right, well, hold the name. I'll tell you what, you're calling about Dr. Greer, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. I've interviewed Dr. Greer over the years, right?
Yes, sir.
And I've always warned Dr. Greer that what he's doing, in other words, if everything Dr. Greer is doing is real, he's in jeopardy. He's potentially in jeopardy. If he's going to pry a secret from the government that they don't want pried open, then he's in jeopardy, isn't he?
That is so true.
All right, I want you to listen to something.
All right.
All right, I want you to listen very carefully what I'm about to play, and then I want to get your reaction to it. This appeared on Dr. Greer's telephone.
Mail for CSETI number
That's Dr. Greer's wife.
301-249-3915. Recorded message dated July 19th, 2004. The time is 12:35 a.m.
7. Saved message. Stop crying into the government matters with dire consequences in result.
Dire consequences. Listen carefully.
5 a.m.
Here we go.
4 is not a valid entry. To repeat this message,
And here it comes.
stop crying into the government matters with dire consequences in result.
All right, there you've got it. Stop prying into government matters or dire consequences will result. If you got that on your phone, how would you feel if you were Dr. Greer?
Well, having seen Dr. Greer at the conference in Laughlin, Nevada, I would pursue on, realizing that this is a democratic republic and the government's supposed to be working for us, Art.
Do you think they are?
Well, at this point, there is some challenges. It's one of those situations where when Ike said, beware of the military-industrial complex at his farewell address, it was brought to light in his video that certain of these companies were involved in the UFO phenomenon, and Ike wanted an independent civilian oversight.
Do you think that the military-industrial complex is behind the aircraft that we're seeing in our skies, or how much percentage of probability do you assign to the possibility these are others from elsewhere?
Well, probably from the studies I've done and from listening to you over the years, the ones that give off radioactive waste are probably ours, and the ones that sort of mysteriously vanish from the radar screen are probably theirs.
Probably theirs. A good way to delineate between the two.
Yeah.
Still, I'm afraid for Dr. Greer hearing that kind of threat, aren't you?
Yeah, but I mean, we got things going on now where the link between what these gentlemen are talking about with these companies and electronic voting becomes even more clear. And that was the thing, this proprietary secret that used to be a public trust of voting now is being sponsored, according to Beth Harris, she was with George Norrie in February, by 12 companies. And they helped put the $4 billion of taxpayer voter money to help get these machines. And get this, they're all defense contractors, government procurement agencies, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman. It's one of those things that if people start to understand this, I think, the only solution I can think of right now are that these machines go through without a paper trail, get some patriotic notary public stations outside of polling places, verifying voters.
So, sir, why do you think that that's one of the last instructions, one of the last things that President Eisenhower told us? I mean, when at a moment when, at the end of his presidency, when he could be candid, why would he say that at that moment? It's like he held it back. He wanted to say it all the time he was president, but he waited until the very end to tell us to beware. Why do you think that was?
Well, I can only quote what General Lubkin said on Dr. Greer's video. He quoted Eisenhower saying he was losing control and, quote, "This is not going in the best hands."
All right. Listen, thank you for the call, my friend.
Sure.
Take care. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Hello, Art.
Hello. What's your first name?
My name is Carl.
Hey, Carl, where are you?
I'm in the southeastern section of Oklahoma. I live on a farm out in the country.
Okay, welcome.
I've had 5 different sightings here in the last year. The closest one was about a quarter of a mile from the house, and it was about 50 feet off the ground. You could see the trees in back of it.
Boy, that's closer than mine. 50 feet?
Yeah.
What exactly were you seeing at 50 feet?
It was a white light, a round orb of light, unlike any light that you've ever seen.
Okay, but when you say orb of light, that implies almost like, I don't know, an energy or something that might...
Yes, more like
energy.
energy.
It might even be more like a spirit than it is a spacecraft.
Yeah, instead of technology.
Yeah, okay.
And it was floating. Have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz?
Oh, yes.
The globe when it floats in?
Oh, yes.
It was floating like that.
Uh-huh.
It was about 1:30 in the morning, and I had gone out to check our guineas. We have a guinea fowl here on the farm, and the coyotes and the hoot owls are eating the guineas up at night. So I took my flashlight and go out and check every so many hours in the evening.
Okay, so all in all, what do you think you saw?
I have no idea. I flashed the light at it 3 times, my flashlight.
That's like a Dr. Greer move to me.
To let it know that I had seen it.
Uh-huh.
And it reduced itself down to a pinpoint and then just disappeared.
All right. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the possibility of what you did. I'm respectful of whatever in the hell it is out there. And, well, I'm not so sure they're our friends. I'm really not. I assign at least a 50% probability, if not more, to the possibility that whatever this is, it's not good. It's not going to be a good thing for you. And taking your flashlight and shining it on that thing 3 times is almost like saying, well, okay, you're a shark, huh? Well, here I am, have an arm. Don't you worry about that a little?
No, I've seen probably 40 or more in my lifetime. I'm 64 years old, and I don't fear them.
Well, you've seen, I mean, I'm 59 and I've only seen 2. Thank you very much for the call. And maybe what he saw was not a craft of any kind, but rather some sort of spirit or essence or something, which is another aspect of what we cover on this program. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, Art.
Hi.
This is Desert Chad.
Hi, Chad. Where in the desert, pray tell, are you?
Actually, I'm the former operator of Mojave Desert Phone Booth. I chatted with you
Oh
about
my
4
God! This man went out into the middle of the desert. This guy went out into the middle of the desert to a phone booth that hardly anybody in the world knew existed, and made a call to me from it. And as a consequence of that call, I believe the phone company, doing what the phone company does when they have something like this, went out and took the booth away. Didn't they? Yeah.
and they